Good afternoon, my LA people, man. Welcome to the podcast. All right, this one's titled Free Agent Fits, episode 5. And we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. Also, the playoffs last night. As you guys all know, the Portland Trailblazers got swept. I mean, it's kind of surprising they got swept. It's not really a surprise they lost. Obviously, the Warriors are a deeper team. We're going to get into all that, though, and I'll take your Twitter questions as well that you guys posted for me yesterday and today morning. But let's kick this off with talking about Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. Of course, how can anybody forget what happened last night? That's still the topic of conversation. Um, I'm sorry, not last night, yesterday. And I wanted to say this, man. Whether we agree or not on the whole Magic Johnson front, some people are siding with Magic, some people are siding with Rob Pelinka and Jeanie Buss. I will say this, to each his own. However, I refuse to disrespect Magic Johnson. He's done more for this franchise than anybody in that front office combined. Um, Unfortunately, I feel like they left us in bad hands. Jerry probably thought highly of his children, but they really aren't basketball people. If we look at it, Jeanie Buss was more of a PR type person before, unfortunately, her father passed away. The other Buss family members, especially um, Jim Buss, he was more of a horse racing type guy. He was somebody who was into horse racing. He really wasn't into basketball like that. So, I mean, we don't really have basketball minds running the Lakers. What we have is a good person in Jeannie, and I will give her this. She seems to be a good person based on everything I've heard. She's a wonderful person, and, she's running the franchise. Unfortunately, she's surrounding herself with a bunch of people that don't have the team's best interest at heart. They've shown it over and over again. That when it comes to advising, they advise with their heart instead of their minds. And everybody knows, especially people who have ran a business, they know that if to run a business, you got to take your heart out of it and you got to do what's right for the business, especially when it's a great organization like the Lakers. For example, Magic mentioned yesterday how he was a president of basketball operations, but he didn't have full power. If you're going to give somebody that power, you got to let them operate um, freely, because at the end of the day, his vision is not fully completed until he's finished with the task. He was able to land one max free agent and clear cap. However, he quit. He quit before he could land a second free agent. So we don't never know if his plan would have worked. A lot of people criticize Magic Johnson for trading away D'Angelo Russell or letting go Julius Randle and Brook Lopez, which is fine. Those are fair criticisms. However, I do not find it fair to criticize Magic for not being around the office a lot. Everybody and their mother who knows Magic Johnson knows that Magic Johnson is a businessman, first and foremost. So when he took this job, if you guys remember the interviews, Jeannie and Magic and everybody told the media and the fans that he's always going to be around the Dodgers. He's going to continue to run his businesses, but he would make time for the Lakers. From what I could tell, he did this. I mean, he was able to execute a couple of trades to clear up cap space, and he was able to swing that deal for D'Angelo Russell that ultimately ended up helping us land Kuzma and clearing cap space all in one stroke, which I think was a stroke of genius. Um, and at the same time, he did make a couple of mistakes that we can't look over, like trading Zubats away for nothing, basically for nothing. All right, Muscala really was nothing. He didn't contribute to this team in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, we traded Zubats for nothing. That was a bad trade. That was probably the worst trade in his tenure being here. Reggie Bullock, questionable. Questionable trade. I like him as a role player, but potentially you would have been better off keeping a young player like Svi Mikhailuk since we didn't make a postseason run anyways. But at the time we were still in the running, so I don't blame him for that one. Has Magic made some questionable decisions? Of course he has. Is he emotional? Yes, he is. But did he have the fans' best interests at heart? I believe so. And I think we're being run by somebody who was the face of the franchise, somebody who free agents believed in. And this is going to lead me into my next point, free agency. Without Magic Johnson at the helm, if you guys remember, LeBron James, when he came to the free agent meeting with the Lakers, it was only Magic Johnson at that meeting. Why do you think that is? Why do you guys think a big name like Magic Johnson was the only one there in the meeting? Do you think maybe because he's the only trusted individual in the front office? Or potentially because he is the biggest name in the front office? The bottom line is that Rob Pelinka was not wanted there by LeBron James. Therefore, to me, and this is my personal opinion, you can attack it however you wish. You don't have to agree with me. That's okay, as long as you remain respectful. But think about this. If Rob Pelinka wasn't even at the LeBron James meeting, and Magic was, can we really give Rob Pelinka credit for anything? What exactly has Rob Pelinka done since he's been in the front office? We know that Magic Johnson was the one making the phone calls because teams didn't want to speak with Rob. So that's bad news for Rob. We know that, Magic Johnson was the only one in the free agent meeting with LeBron. So can we truly expect Rob Pelinka to close a deal on free agents this summer? I think that's more of a valid question than questioning who's at fault here. I think they all spread evenly the fault, except Jeanie takes a little bit of more of the fault because she is ultimately the final say in everything. She was the one who blocked Luke Walton from getting fired early in the season, where potentially we could have hired a better coach. We could have inspired the team potentially. Again, this is all potential because nothing is official until it happens. Potentially, we could have turned the season around and we wouldn't be talking negative this summer if we did. But instead, we decided to rock with Luke Walton, miss out on the playoffs for the, sixth consecutive season? And now there's all kinds of drama and chaos ever since Magic Johnson stepped down. The bottom line is, to me, Jeanie Buss has shown her incompetence. She did it a couple years back when she took way too long to fire her brother, right? Jim Buss. And she's showing it now, surrounding herself with people like Kurt Rambis and Linda Rambis, who really don't have a basketball acumen. And Kurt himself did horrible in New York as a coach, as a scout, as whatever role they gave him over there. So that to me proves that Jeanie Buss is an emotional leader. You know what happens with emotional leaders, right? If you guys, I'm going to make a Game of Thrones reference here, but if you guys didn't see the season finale, spoiler alert, because I'm about to make this reference. What happens to an emotional leader? Game of Thrones was a perfect example of what happens. They let their guard down, right? When you're emotional as a leader, you let your guard down. So to me, I'm going to make the Daenerys Targaryen comparison to Jeanie Buss. Daenerys, if you guys seen Game of Thrones, for those of you that haven't, she was the Queen of Dragons. She took over King's Landing and pretty much, she brought havoc upon King's Landing, taking that over, and she was going to reign over the Seven Kingdoms. Problem with her is she loved Jon Snow, who ironically was her nephew, but that's besides the point. In that show, everything goes. So she loved Jon Snow and she let her guard down. And guess what happened? Final episode. Again, spoiler alert. If you guys haven't seen it, tune out now. But if you guys know, once she let her guard down, Jon Snow killed her. He betrayed her. He stabbed her. Right? She became too powerful. She wanted to break the wheel. Jon Snow took her out. That's what could potentially happen with an emotional leader like Jeanie Buss. Again, if you guys saw Game of Thrones, you guys saw this girl, Daenerys, rise from the bottom and get all the way to the top, only to lose it in the end. Only to lose that title, to lose her life, to lose her dragons for getting too emotional. That to me was the ultimate moral of the story in Game of Thrones. A lot of people didn't like the show, but I say, the message behind that is, power gets to your head, power corrupts, but also, if you let your guard down, you will be betrayed. And that's what I'm afraid of for Jeanie Buss. She's surrounding herself with the wrong people, letting her guard down, trusting people, letting her emotions get in the way, and not making the right business decisions that are going to help her franchise succeed, that are going to sit well with the fan base, that are going to help us get to that next level. So I'm going to transition over to free agency. But before I get there, I want to answer some of you guys' Twitter questions. Because you guys have been so great to the channel, and I appreciate you guys truly. If you guys know, you guys haven't been here with me, this platform is for the people. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys be heard. So let's start off with my man, Sabotage Reactions. By the way, shout out to him. He's been following the channel for a while, and he's just started his channel, so go ahead and check him out. Sabotage says, here's my question. I believe all the media hate towards the Lakers over the years has just been a disguise to keep free agents away. Is it jealousy or am I tripping? Hashtag City of Angels. Thanks for the question, Sabotage. All I got to say is I'm not sure if it's jealousy. I'm not sure if they're trying to sabotage our Lakers. But I will say this. If free agents allow that to work against their decision, I think it's ridiculous. They are grown men free agents are grown men, and at the end of the day, they're gonna make their own decisions. Uh, they're the ones controlling their future. So if I was a free agent, if I was Kawhi or Kyrie Irving or anybody who is even considering the Lakers, I will say this: I wouldn't allow the narrative to control my decision, because then that just means I'm a puppet. But great question, by the way. I always appreciate a really good question, and that was one of them right there. Moving on to the next question. Let's go with Lakers for life. At Lucky Navarro 3 says, hashtag City of Angels. Yo, G, what do you think are the changes in free agency, and who do you think we get now? Well, to answer your question, bro, I'll tell you this. I'm not sure who we're going to get, but I hope it's a max free agent, and I hope it's one that's worthy. For example, we know the top 3 Ks, right? Kyrie, Kawhi, and Kevin Durant. If we get one of those 3 at max money, I'd be extremely pleased, because those are the top 3 for me. However, Klay Thompson could potentially become a free agent. He's an option. We also have Kemba Walker. These are the second tier free agents. And I know some of you guys will dispute whether Klay's the second or first tier, but to me he's second tier, because he disappears from time to time offensively. So I'll put him there. But we have plenty of options there. I'd be pleased with any of those options. Klay, Kemba, or Jimmy Butler. Those are the B tier free agents, And then you have the C tier free agents. You have guys like Vucevic and potentially DeMarcus Cousins and players like that. DeMarcus, I put him in the 3rd tier because of his injuries. Vucevic, to me, he's a good player, but can he elevate your franchise to championship level? I doubt that. I wouldn't be too happy with, 3rd level tier free agents unless we already had a 1st or 2nd tier free agent. But I'm hoping for the best, man. I'm hoping for the top tier, the best of the best, the creme de la creme. If we can get one of those top free agents, I'd be ecstatic. But I will wish us the best. I think LeBron James is going to have to be our prime recruiter, and I will get into that in the second part of the segment. Jumpman25 says, who do you expect the Lakers will get in free agency? Again, same question. I don't have any expectations, but I have a lot of hope. And I hope it's a top tier free agent. Either 1 or 2. 3rd tier, not so much. Again. So hopefully, it's somebody really good, because LeBron James is going to need help heading into this 15th season. About to turn 35 or something like that. So he's getting older. He's going to need another superstar to help carry the load. And that's my only hope for title contention at this point. Unless one of the young players rises to the top and becomes who we drafted, right? Terrell King Carter says, do you think it's safer for the Lakers to keep the main 3 young core this year? And if they want AD so bad, sign him to a 2020 as a free agent. Do I think that's safer? I'm not sure what's safe and what's not at this point. Honestly, if we keep all 3 of the young core and we don't land a max free agent, it could spell doom for us. I mean, LeBron could request a trade. That would be worst case scenario. It would make us look even more incompetent as a front office, and free agents probably wouldn't look our way for the next 3 to 5 years if that happens, potentially. So I'm not sure if that's so safe. I think the safest thing to do is to trade for an all-star if you don't sign one. And that will keep LeBron happy. That'll keep the team competitive, but it might ruin our future. So either way, it could be a win-win or a loss-loss depending on what the Lakers decide to do. If that answers your question. I know I probably confused you a little bit more, but my point is I have no clue what the safe thing to do is this summer. This is one of those summers that's going to be very tricky, and hopefully everything works out for the best. And then Terrell King Carter asked the second question. He said, who do you like for the mid-level, as Magic stated yesterday, should the Lakers use to sign as our go-to 3-point shooter? Honestly, I'm not even looking at the mid-level exception right now until we find out exactly who we're landing with our max money. Is it going to be a combination of players there, or is it going to be one max free agent? We shall find out soon enough, and then I'll answer your question after that. Alpha on Twitter asks, should we draft the best player available or the player that is the best fit in the player possession needed? The question can also be said in terms of signing the potential max free agent. Wow, that's really, really great questions, guys, today. I love it. Alpha, let me answer your question, your first one, though. Who should we draft? The best player available or the best fit in for position need? I will say the best player available, man. I would not draft for position need simply because the NBA is becoming a positionless league. Meaning, yes, you can have 3 point guards at the same time. And I know it's not conventional, it's not ideal, but let's say Darius Garland is gonna become a superstar in the future, and you see that potential, you cannot pass on the kid. Same for any other player, Jarrett Culver or anybody you see. Of course, you can always draft for need and best player available. For all we know, it could be Jarrett Culver could be the best player available, or any of those other prospects on the board. But bottom line is, you have to do what you believe is best for the franchise as far as talent goes, because you can always fill a role or a position with a role player, but you don't always have grade A talent coming your way through the draft. So if you can get that next level athlete, I say go for that first. Anthony Mendez on Twitter asks, "Hey Dan, is the number 7 pick from the Bulls worth Lonzo Ball?" No, he's not worth Lonzo Ball. To answer your first question, Anthony, to me, Lonzo Ball is worth a top 3 pick only in this draft. I still think really highly of him, especially because of his defense, his athleticism, playmaking ability, and his high basketball IQ. And I wouldn't trade him for anything outside of the top 3. Honestly, I wouldn't trade him for anything outside of the top 2. I don't even think that highly of RJ Barrett. As much as I like him, I like Lonzo Ball better as an overall prospect moving forward. However, Ja Morant or, of course, Zion Williamson, then that changes the story a little bit. But I still think it's between Ja or Lonzo Ball. I have no idea who will have the best NBA career. It's still too early to tell. So even that trade would be questionable. Is he worth a top 7 pick? Nah. He's worth more than that. All right, second part of that question is, if we do get the 7th pick, do we keep the 4th and 7th overall pick and add it to the young core, or do we go after Bradley Beal or Kyle Lowry? Again, to answer this question, I will say we do not need more young talent. We have plenty of it. If we were going to add more young talent, we already have the 4th pick. I don't think we need to trade away a player that has more experience like Lonzo for a new player that's up and coming that hasn't got his feet wet in the NBA and might not be ready to contribute. Unless that talented player was really worth the potential, right? But again, outside of the top 2, I'm not trading Lonzo Ball, period. But that's just my opinion. And then a couple more questions. I believe Purple and Gold asks, Dan, the Warriors are now going to the finals for the 5th straight year. Does this make them better than the 2000 Lakers? Absolutely not. And not just because I'm a Laker fan. Let me tell you why. The 2000 Lakers had a much tougher road to the finals year in and year out. You know, from 2000 to 2001 to 2002, they went through some battles with, to me, a way better Western Conference competition. I know this year the West was tough, but it really wasn't that tough. To me, Houston really was never a contender. I've been saying it, they're pretenders. Portland, as much as I like them, they don't have a 3rd star. The closest thing to that, Nurkic was injured. So I kind of figured they wouldn't defeat Golden State. I just want them to put up a good fight. I still stand by what I said, by the way, on Portland guards. I love them more. And I think they're just, they're unlucky that they don't have as great of a team as Golden State. But heck no. I'll take the 2000 Lakers over a lot of teams in the history of basketball. I can't say the same for Golden State. Golden State, growing up in a softer era, yes, they have some of the best shooters of all time. But they're also a very deep team in a front-heavy, top-loaded NBA. We don't have a lot of teams with the same depth that Golden State has. Matter of fact, we don't have any team in the NBA to rival them right now. We're hoping Giannis has grown up and done enough improving to be able to put up a fight, or Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors to put up a fight. But at the end of the day, look what they're doing without Kevin Durant and DeMarcus. That shows that they didn't need all this extra star power. They already had Draymond. They had great vets like Iguodala and a great head coach in Steve Kerr that puts them in position to succeed. I credit that more than what I credit Steph Curry and their superstars as far as legends go. But they are a dynasty. We do have to respect them. At the end of the day, they are going to be mentioned up there with those types of teams, with the Bulls, with the Lakers. Personally, me though, they're not as fun to watch. They don't have the same amount of heart. They're just deeper in a thin league. Today is a thin league that protects players like Curry, who are soft and flop, and they just get away with more stuff, honestly, as if they needed any help, right? They're already some of the best three-point shooters the league has ever seen. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, and I don't think that they're better than the 2000 Lakers personally. If they had to be in a 7-game series, who's going to guard Shaq? Nobody. And then Kobe was barely coming into his own. Nobody's going to stop those two. And they had the right type of role players and a great head coach as well in Phil Jackson. I'll take my Lakers any day. But thanks for the question. And let's see how many more questions we have here. I'm gonna answer two more of these so we can continue with the podcast, guys, because you guys actually hit me with a bunch. I appreciate them all. But if I didn't get to your question, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I'll do my best to get it next time, or or on Thursday, which is the next podcast. All right, Britt. What's up, Britt? How you doing, bro? On Twitter says, what do you think of Rob Parker saying that Jeanie Buss should cover up Magic Johnson's statue with a wet towel for the next 2 weeks? Oh man, I think that's ludicrous. That's ridiculous. Again, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, Magic Johnson has done more for the city of LA than Jeanie, Jim, all the J's, Joker, Jimbo, whatever their names are. Nobody even cares what their names are, man. Gumbo, Shrimp, who cares? Those people haven't done as much as Magic Johnson has. And I promise you, if Rob Parker, as ridiculous as he is, he considers to be himself a Laker fan, I question that. Especially as old as he is and he saw the Magic Johnson Showtime era, you should never say something as blasphemy as that, man. That's crazy. That's some blasphemy for you right there. Magic Johnson, look, he messed up. Sure. Can you criticize him? Sure. But to say to cover up his statue, that's next level hatred. There's nothing he could have done, even if he would have traded away the whole roster to get people to hate him, because he's brought us 5 championships, and he's one of the best all-time, if not greatest, Lakers of all time. So, if you're a Laker fan and you're disrespecting Magic Johnson, I suggest you look yourself in the mirror and potentially grab a Celtic or Clipper jersey, because those are the only haters that hate on people like Magic Johnson. So let's keep it 100 and stop hating on Magic. It's okay if you don't agree with him quitting. I respect that. You don't have to agree with that, but hating on a legend, that's too much. And he said, side question, what do you think of Game of Thrones ending? It could have been better. I didn't like what they did with Jon Snow, sending him to the wall at the end. I think that's bizarre, especially after everything he went through, being the heir to the throne and all that, having Targaryen blood. So I was a little confused with that whole thing, but I kind of expected it to be this type of ending. Game of Thrones is known for not having happy endings, even though this is probably as happy as it was going to get anyways. So if I had to rate it out of 10, the ending was probably like a 6. It was believable and watchable, but it wasn't as fulfilling as most fans wanted it to be. So I can see why people are upset. Thanks for the question. And final question by JD Gus. He says, Alex Caruso had a great year with the Lakers this season. If Alex Caruso continues his run next year with the Lakers and continues to prove that he is a great player, should the Lakers start Alex Caruso over Lonzo if Caruso is clearly playing better than Lonzo next year? Absolutely not, JD. And let me tell you why. Because even though Caruso played point guard and even though he's good at handling the ball and getting in the lane and penetrating, Caruso, what he has done has been a small sample size. I need to see this early in the season. I need to see, hopefully, our new head coach, Frank Vogel, is able to give players that deserve minutes. But when it really counts early in the season, everybody is full of energy. Everybody, wants to play extra hard. Towards the end of the season, a lot of teams are already mailing it in. So I'm not saying that Caruso is not skilled. I love him. I hope he comes back and gets a good role off the bench. But am I ready to put him over my franchise point guard? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I would like to play them both together. That could work. Caruso's more of a shooting guard anyway, who can handle the ball and play off ball as well, especially with his cutting ability. So, if he continues to play well, then I would look to promote him to shooting guard and have him and Lonzo as 2 good defensive guards in the backcourt, creating and playmaking for others. So that would be great. But that's going to do it for the, the Twitter section of this podcast. Thank you so much for sending all your questions. I appreciate it, guys. You guys really make this show what it is. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about free agency. I only got a couple of minutes here before I get off, but free agent fits, man. Let's start with Kevin Durant. Where is the best fit for Kevin Durant? Well, based on Kevin Durant's legacy and what he wants to accomplish, I think it's either New York or Brooklyn, honestly, fit-wise. The Lakers would be great, but based on what Kevin Durant wants, he doesn't want to share the spotlight. He's tired of doing that. He did it with Golden State for the last 3 years, and he's ready to move from that, in my opinion. So I say the best fit for Kevin Durant is going to be New York or Brooklyn, where he can actually make a team his and elevate that city to the next level. Best fit that I believe for Kawhi Leonard is the Lakers, hands down. Think about this, guys. Now, it's gonna sound biased again because I'm a diehard Laker fan. I do not hide. I do not shy away from the fact. However, if you look at fits around the league, Toronto, Toronto's not a good fit for him because he likes warm weather and he wants to be in Cali. So then you look at Cali, you look at Golden State, they don't have cap space for him and they're too stacked. He doesn't want to be there. You look at the Clippers, don't make me laugh. Joke of a franchise, no history, and you're just going to go there to collect a paycheck if you go there. The obvious choice there is the Lakers. You know, we are struggling, so he's going to get most of the glory if he comes back and restores these franchise to championship level contention. And you have LeBron there who can help you get to that next level. If he loses in this round to Giannis, he's going to want to retool and come back with a stronger, bigger player by his side. And I think LeBron is a perfect running mate. And I think their personalities match well. LeBron is more outgoing, he's more expressive, while Kawhi is more reserved and he seems more like the quiet type of player that will play his role and do his dirt. Again, LeBron is going into his, what I believe is his 15th year. And he's about to turn 35 next season. So he needs the most help he can get. And what better help than a two-way player like Kawhi Leonard, who can just take over and is a beast on both sides of the floor. So to me, that would be a match made in heaven. And he will restore order in LA just with a swift stroke of the pen, sign on the dotted line. And he would be a Laker legend for years to come. Remember, he's only 26 or 27, one of the two. So he's still young in his prime and he has plenty of years left of that. So the best fit for Kawhi, LA. Best fit for Kyrie, this one's tricky, okay? Because I'm split. It's between New York and the Lakers. If we don't land Kawhi Leonard, I believe it'll be the Lakers. Because Kyrie Irving already has a great relationship with LeBron. He saw how tough it would be to lead a team by yourself and all the scrutiny that comes with it. And I think his appreciation for King James grew just a little bit more. If he comes to LA, he's going to get a ton of praise for helping restore this team back and the balance back to the franchise. I'm not worried about him being a point guard and Lonzo being a point guard. I'm sure Frank Vogel being a good coach will make that work. But I think, again, if we get Kawhi Leonard, then the best fit for Kyrie would be to go elsewhere. Probably New York or Brooklyn. Probably New York Knicks. The New York Knicks haven't had an elite point guard in a long time. The last kind of elite point guard was Stephon Marbury. And I don't even put him in the same category as Kyrie Irving. So New York would love to have a point guard like Kyrie. He'd get the love that he deserves. And anything is better than Boston, honestly. They have a bunch of racist fans. And I don't think any player deserves to be under that type of scrutiny. I saw some of the comments. I reposted some of the comments on Twitter that they were sending to Kyrie every time he had bad games. They were calling him horrible, horrible things. And the Boston fan base does not deserve a great player like Kyrie, who, by the way, they blame for having a bad season. So, yes, he might have not wanted to be there. That's why he didn't want to have a good season. I don't know. Sometimes when your mind isn't right, you don't have a good season. So that's why I think Kyrie is better suited to leave Boston. Now let's go with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler should stay in Philadelphia. I think that's the best fit for him. He makes them an elite team. As soon as they get rid of Ben Simmons or he develops a jumper, either or, they're going to be a real elite team. Right now, he's just a liability on the floor. Yes, he could have good games and spurts from time to time, but he's not good enough for me to consider a franchise player moving forward. I would build the whole team around Joel Embiid. I would try to trade Ben Simmons and get another star. Maybe somebody like Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know. Somebody really good who you can pair with Joel in the front court. And, of course, if I'm Jimmy Butler, I would re-sign and be one of the major three pieces there. As far as Klay Thompson, I think his best fit is to stay in Golden State. If not, come home to LA, come home to Cali, and play for the Lakers. But I still believe his best fit is in Golden State. They have a dynasty there. Unfortunately, you have to say it like that. And they're going to be good for years to come, even if they lose Kevin Durant. We're seeing that they still have a lot of capability, great coaching, and great depth. So, let's see, Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker's fit would be, again, New York needs a point guard bad. That would be a beautiful look for Kemba. He is a New York product, by the way. He'll be coming home to play for his hometown. That would be amazing. Who else am I missing? Am I missing anybody as far as free agents go? I'm sure I'm missing a couple of names, but that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Guys, thank you so much. Tell me if you agree with my free... Oh, I'm sorry. Before I go, DeMarcus Cousins, where does he fit in? DeMarcus Cousins fits in absolutely anywhere he can get in. Because with all his injuries, he'd be lucky to get another $5 to $10 million contract for next season. I mean, I think his value diminishes incredibly after injury. No team's gonna want to gamble and give him a $15 to $20 million contract, even if it is a 1 year deal, unless they're just trying to hold the cap space. So I think DeMarcus, wherever he can get in, I think that's where he should go in, especially if he has a major role as a part of the team. So there really is no specific need for DeMarcus, but I would say get your money, big fella. So I wish him the best and a speedy recovery. And that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think of my list and my fits, and counter it with your list and your fits, etc., etc. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys Thursday.